All right, just a quickie here. You know, obviously with these videos for history of propaganda, a lot of people might consider or detract or try attempt to discredit what I'm researching and what I'm trying to communicate with this video series. With within a historical context, an analysis involving, the psychology, the influence of drugs, and stressful states of stress, so fight, flight, or freeze, uh, and then also, group dynamics and, weaponized artwork, obviously. Uh, so when you consider the terminology conspiracy theorist, I think about it and, oh, my nose, fucking nose. Excuse me. Yeah. I think of the Mel Gibson film, and people associate, conspiracy theory with Mel Gibson because of the concentration of Jewish people or people that are, identify as Jewish anyway, within the media and other sectors because of their historical prosecution or persecution. You know, um, what can I say? I'm gonna leave it at that. Arm's length. And the thing that comes up, I'm looking at it and trying to remember the origin of the terminology. And so, and there's classic ones. So obviously there's connotation of conspiracy with COVID, or the installation of communism in North America, on a national scale, or the attempt to undermine capitalism via anarchistic guerrilla warfare, and the attack on symbology and the culture wars. But really, a lot of this stuff can be explained by incompetence and negligence and nepotism. So the uh, not homogeny, the hegemony of the ego, and the thing that happens with people once they rise to the position of power. So again, coming back to the psychology, and when you're in a position of authority, the decisions that you have to make that don't please everyone in order to maintain a centralized authority and any kind of semblance that would be considered from the outside to be law and order, right? It's very different to be on both sides. You don't always see everything, and that's where the paranoia comes in. And you can obviously, people, they reach this state of paranoia out of anxiety and apprehension about the future, if not their current life and livelihood. Easily justifiable, motivations to this thought, that everyone and everything is out to get you. But then that, of course, it borderlines on what, psychosis, or on paranoid schizophrenia. So the thing that I'm looking at here is the chemtrails thing. And as a aircraft mechanic, um, I've never seen an aircraft like that in the commercial or in the in the public sectors, if you want to go by sectors, really when you're an aircraft mechanic, they're all the same. All the airplanes are the same. Cloud seeding does happen, right? There are aircraft that are modified specifically with scientific for scientific research, atmospheric research, and they use pellets to create condensation nuclei, in for which will give the best uh, conditions in order for them to to form for cloud formation. Because the study of cloud formation in itself is very fascinating, and condensation and thermal expansion. So that does exist, right? Cloud seeding does exist. Aluminum sulfide. Kurt Vonnegut's brother was involved in the research. I think it was with NOAA, NOAA. Let's see, in the 1960s, 70s, something like that. Um, and then you think about the why the what comes out the backside of the turbine. It's easily explainable. The trails that follow behind the aircraft, in that you have a superheated gas, right, exiting out the back into a much colder atmosphere, and so you get this right, and with heat, you get attraction. Well, actually, with condensation, you get attraction and formation of from a gas to a liquid, right? So you're going to get a cloud coming out the tailpipe, and then there's of course the unburned elements of the gas, sorry, of the jet fuel. So A1. So if we look at the composition of jet fuel here, jet A1 comp. JP5, JP8 are all very similar. So this is toxicology profile. Again, this is from Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry, so .gov, atsdr.cdc.gov. Okay, so here we go. Chemical identity. JP5, JP8, Jet A is located in table 4A1. Nearly all jet fuels is made from kerosene derived from petroleum. However, a small percentage is made from oil sands. Kerosene is manufactured from the distillation of crude oil at atmospheric pressure, or from a catalytic, thermal, or steam cracking of heavier petroleum steams. Excuse me. Okay, so it goes to a figure. The exact composition of any particular batch of jet fuel is dependent upon the crude oil on which it was derived and the refining process used for its production. Regardless of the source and production process, kerosenes and jet fuels primarily consist of C9 to C16 hydrocarbons that boil in the range of 145 to 300 degrees Celsius. Analytical techniques are not only capable of separating and characterizing each molecule species of these complex mixtures. However, the predominant components of jet fuels are branched in linear paraffins and naphthalene, so naphtha, which usually accounts for over 70% of the components by volume. So naphtha, as many of you know, is a hydrolyzed. It's like bacon fat, right? It's more like petroleum jelly is more like Vaseline than it is, or diesel fuel than it is like kerosene. It's a much heavier in its identity, right? So until you heat it up, and then it becomes liquid, and then smoke point, and so on and so forth. This doesn't account for the fuels that private aircraft, piston aircraft use. And a lot of times it's they're at 80, 89, or like 110. They're trying. There is an STC out right now from Transport Canada to upgrade the fuel systems to a higher octane for a better burn rate and less environmental pollution, and also to remove lead, so 100 low lead, which is another fuel from the combustion, because not all the lead burns off. Excuse me. So that's that's an effort right now, and I applaud them for doing that, because the more that it burns back to a carbon, and it falls or it gets absorbed back into the atmosphere, and and then absorbed by trees in the photosynthesis process. This carbon is not as huge as a problem, in my opinion, as we believe it to be. It's more or less the dispersants and the other free radical chemicals that exist from burning of plastics, and industrial runoff, the evaporation, the nitrogen content even actually is very important. When you consider organic beings can have nitrogen toxicity, hypoxia or the bends. Uh, Again, it's multifaceted. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so really, there's other methods that the atmospheric research aircraft use with radar and microwave technology, along with the cloud seeding, to get stimulate a cloud. Right. We're talking about different means or philosophies of warfare, because these would be considered post-nuclear weapons, because of the devastation that they can cause, which is far greater, but don't have the same connotations and fallouts, of a nuclear weapon. So, say if you have a directed weapon, a directed energy weapon that could, if pointed at a particular spot in the crust or whatever, and energize it and cause more tectonic plate action, or boiling the ocean in one point in order to create more waves and so on and so forth, or an actual storm or hurricane. All these things are possible if when with enough research and um, enough time. But these are not conspiracies. These are based in Okay, so let's look up weather warfare. So again, this is on Wikipedia. Right, and it's they signed an accord, the Environmental Modification Convention, in 1977. But up until then, and this is within the first paragraph here. Operation Popeye saw the use of cloud seeding over the Ho Chi Minh Trail. It was hoped that the increased rainfall would reduce the rate of infiltration during down the trail. So, 1996, there was a USAF speculates about the future use of nanotechnology to produce artificial weather, clouds of microscopic computer particles all communicating with each other to form an intelligent fog that could be used for various purposes. Artificial weather technologies do not currently exist, but as they are developed, the importance of their potential applications rises rapidly. In other words, there's great potential. Excuse me. There's great potential here, but even greater potential, like that of chemical warfare. This is really annoying. Give me a second. Okay, so anyways, there's greater potential for unintended consequences here. Like once the nanobots are released, then anyone with a specific that can figure out the specific wavelength of communication and the encryption uh, could potentially control it for their own means. So, this is all science fiction stuff, really. It's very very far out there, but this is not a conspiracy. This is real, right? When you have to recognize what's the principle that the military and the government has technology that is 20 to 50 years in advance of what is released to the public, and we all like if you're interested in this stuff, there's known incidences and uses and research of lasers and microwaves used for crowd control or for, what's it that 747 that was flying for a while there, the airborne laser chemical, if I remember correctly. So, what can I say? When you don't know what you're talking about, everything's a conspiracy theory. But when you do know what you're talking about, everyone calls you a conspiracy theorist because they don't want to recognize that we live in a hostile world. We do. And humanity is very hostile to itself. This is, we all have the potential for violence, right? And, hence the propaganda, because the propaganda is what comes first, right? The psychology, the thought before the action into a manifestation, into an event, is that tracing that snap, that spark into an airborne toxic event or something along those lines, right? This is why I'm doing it, is because I have a fascination with this whole process, the dirty dozen, the breakdown of and observing the entropy of our own enterprise. Let's put it like that. So I think that's enough for today. I'm going to put this under history of propaganda and conspiracy theory. Right? That should be enough. So thank you for watching. Those of you that do and that get this far. I'm staring at my James Webb Telescope painting here, and I'm still observing, some wet spots and whatnot. That's the way it goes. Is that with any piece of art, there's many layers, there's many facets, and until it's over and it's glazed, you have no idea what you're looking at. And sometimes within the intelligence community, not that I'm a part of it, I'm not an operative. I have, as much as I might like to, I have no direct association with any agency or the military. This is all my own because I just have time, right? And time can be the most dangerous thing. See ya.